this is a little bit in the weeds, but like when you set up a vendor, right? You may have a vendor that you buy from, but you remit your check or payment to a different address. In the past, you would have a separate pay to vendor, but then the vendor ledger entries would get written under that pay to vendor.
Okay.
And it just created some confusion for people. So they've created a new entity, a new table with under the vendor called remit to addresses. So you can now have one vendor that has 1 or 5 different remit to addresses. So it's a simpler, cleaner setup.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you go to create a purchase order or a purchase invoice, you can set which remit to address you want that invoice to be paid for. Now, unfortunately, on this one, I do have a gotcha. When you go into the, so what I did was I created 2 invoices, one for remit to same vendor, one for remit to 1, another invoice for remit to 2. I went into a payment journal. I ran suggest vendor payments. I ran it 1 line per invoice, basically. Yeah. And in the numbering and the document number, it assigned the same document number to both of those invoices, which means it would potentially print 1 check for both of those instead of honoring the remit to address.
Why do you think that was?
It's possible I did something wrong. But again, maybe that's not too intuitive if that's like the case, because it should, if it knows that, because on the vendor ledger entry, you could see remit to 1, remit to 2.
Yeah.
It should know that I need to create 2 different checks because I'm paying that to 2 different remit tos.
But it doesn't.
So possible I did something wrong. So I don't want to say that's a gap there quite at this point, but I did struggle with that on my first time.
Sounds like something that needs to be in a minor update.
So be careful about that.